Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. So today on the show, I'm interviewing Fabien of FabExpat. If you guys have been dreaming of moving to France, he's your guy. He has all the insights. And welcome to the show, Fabien.
Oh, thank you, Crystal. And I must first congratulate you because, well, your pronouncing of my name was spot on, which is quite unusual in English usually. And that's why I go by Fab often. So bravo.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I've been here for a minute, so I think I can figure it out a little bit. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about your upbringing. You grew up in the southwest of France. Talk a little about that. Like, what brought you to Paris?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think pretty much all French native would go to Paris eventually, or once in their life. So yes, I did grow up near Bordeaux, actually in Bordeaux. My family's from Bordeaux. Lovely city. I have a property in the southwest of France near Biarritz, very close to the Spanish border. But so that's where I grew up, and I had to move to France, to Paris for my studies. And then my family, because we're a family of four, and there's still one of my sisters is still in Paris. My brother used to be there for quite a while as well, so I was there quite often. I have a small studio there, so actually I split my time between Bordeaux and Paris, and the studio is actually where we met, which is also like a shooting studio. So yeah. That's how I made it there, and I fell in love with Paris. I was 18 when I first moved there, but it was a crazy place to live. Always something going on, a lot of culture, artists, and well, just the city itself. The buildings. I love the. I mean, surely there's some similarities between you and I as to why you love it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of French people too fall in love with Paris. It's not just us foreigners. And you grew up with a stepfather who served as a French MP. First, explain that to listeners. What is a French MP? It's basically like a police officer, right?
Oh, no. MP is like member of parliament.
Oh my gosh, that's great to know. I was like, MP, wow.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, sounds like the force in US English. You're right.
Yeah.
That's actually British English, my bad, yeah.
Wonderful. So yeah, you grew up with a French MP as a stepfather. How did that upbringing influence your decision to start a business focusing on helping migrants relocate to France? So I'm sure someone working in parliament, did that influence you at all to start your own business to help people moving here?
Well, yes and no. So yes, I mean, first, in all full disclosure, my stepdad was doesn't sound right in US English, but he was a socialist in the Socialist Party, but that's left wing in France, and it's not the radical left wing, it's like moderate left wing in France. So and he's been a French MP for 25 years. Although I'll say I've been with him as a stepfather for 15 years. So, and including my years in Paris, and I was amazing because it got me to see some of the political backstage, I'd say, like the parliament. I was like waiting for your stepdad to finish his job. But for me, it was waiting literally in the Assemblée, the French Parliament, and waiting there, with all the other folks who were there, and so that we could have lunch, And it was a bit weird because you have to wear a formal jacket and tie and all of that. At least at the time I had to, if you want to get into the building. But it also made me discover a lot of French restaurants and places and things I could never been able to afford otherwise as a student there. So that was great. That didn't really influence my envy to work with expats at the time. I was too young. But then when I started my own business, actually just random luck, but I happened to, which was insurance at the time, and I happened to get one of them, my very, very first client who was speaking English and had a massive expat blog they were running. And they just offered me to, because I was speaking English, to be their insurance partner. We're talking like 12 years ago. And I was like, oh, okay, why not? And I was hooked instantly because like that community and helping out people, and then we evolved into assisting with visas, and we had a lot of services, but then all the love, making a difference out there, because this is a minefield, especially French admin is a minefield even for the French. But obviously as a non-French, obviously it's even worse. So actually demystifying all of that, and also let's be honest, there's a lot of fear mongering, and I wouldn't say scammers, but people taking advantage of, expats or migrants being gullible because you don't know how it works. So I wanted to provide free services and free education, and that's what we're still doing, by the way. So and we've been doing ever since.
Yeah, that's super helpful because you hear so many horror stories about people wanting to move here and they hire like a consultant and then they give them the wrong information or they don't do the work. So it's nice to know there's someone you can trust, especially when you're so out of your comfort zone.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because we've basically been doing something like helping more than obviously it varies from year to year, but on average, I'd say it's 1,000 expats or migrants move to France. English speaking, because I'd say unfortunately we only speak English, but English speaking migrants move to France every year since 2015. Basically, that's what we've been doing. And it used to be mostly Americans, but Brexit reshuffled this, so it's kind of balanced now. A lot of Brits and a lot of Americans, although we have clients from all around the planet. Canada, could even be the Middle East, Asia. But as we speak English, obviously, we mostly have people from native English-speaking countries.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And you founded your first business at 25 years old, and then you established Fab at 30. So what drove you to create a one-stop relocation service? Were there some gaps you saw in the market that Fab addresses?
Well, that that's a very polite way of saying I'm getting old. No, I'm kidding.
Never.
No, I like it. Gray hairs are wisdom, not getting old. So, originally I was doing kind of actually a very creative job because I first started. So from 25 to 30, it was a creative marketing agency. We were doing designing stuff, digital stuff, digital design and marketing. And it just happened that a lot of our clients were working around either the insurance industry or relocation industry. Was just and that's also again what tipped me towards this. That plus when I started Fab very, very early on, I hooked up with that lady who professionally, because I'm French, sometimes I may use the wrong words. Sorry about that. But who then introduced me professionally again to that industry and market, and again I fell in love with working with English-speaking migrants almost instantly, and again that's what we've been doing ever since. Yeah.
So talk about, from your perspective as kind of an expert in relocating, what are like the top 3 pieces of advice you would give someone in the creative industries that wants to move to France?
Creative industry is, actually, technically I'd say, you have a lot of options. So it's difficult to give like a one-fitted answer. There's one I would almost always actually advise against, and that's to try to apply for the international renowned talent or something like that. I don't exactly remember in English that they've translated it, because this one is like, unless you're Brad Pitt or something, probably won't work. Although, opposingly, as long as you're a professional artist and you can kind of have some evidence of it, like, you've invoiced for your job, or you've done some work that's publicly visible, as long as there's, again, some sort of evidence that you're a professional artist and you do that for a living, even partially, there is an artist kind of visa, which is even easier to get than, I would say, the regular visas in a way, because usually there is like an income threshold they want you to meet, which is French minimum wage, which for now, when we're recording this, is 1,400 net a month, roughly. But if you apply for the artistic talent passport, that's how they call it, they've lowered the requirement to 60% of French minimum wage, so it gets a bit under 1,000 euros net a month. Okay, so it's not that bad, and knowing that you can also top up missing income with savings and stuff, there's a lot of options. But that's a very practical advice I'd be saying for artists. Do not go for the fancy, shiny, internationally renowned artist or talent, but rather go for the generic, a bit more dull, but artist talent passport, which is much easier to secure. And alternatively, if for you it's difficult to get evidence of that professional work or artistic work you might be doing, and when we say artist, it's not just painters and stuff, obviously, could be photographs, could be, dancers, there's a lot of artistic things. I mean, France is very keen on artistic stuff, I would say, it's like one of the top countries for that. So alternatively, there are also regular visas, which artists not always think about, which are also often on the table, like a regular business type of visa, or even sometimes a non-working visa, if you're like, I don't know, like an influencer, for example, and you're starting out or something. So there's a lot of options, and it's often easier than it seems. But my top tip is to actually not try to apply for the options that looks the fanciest, because they are often also they are often although the harder to secure.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people I think they call it the talent visa. I mean, it's called something else in French, but it gives you 4 years and you're able to work and stay in France and have all the rights and everything. But like you said, that one can be pretty hard to get. I didn't know there was one that was specifically just for artists, but kind of the same idea.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually a talent pass. I mean, the problem with the talent passport is that it comes in so many different flavors, let's say. Well, I'm reluctant to say the word, but let's say some are easier than others, much easier. When I say easy, it's like French admin easy, so it might not seem as easy to people. But some are much easier to secure than others. And for example, the artist talent passport is much easier than the one that usually they look for, which is the one you referred to, which is the internationally renowned talent. So people, like if you just done, I don't know, some exhibitions abroad and you think you're an internationally renowned, no, it probably won't work, and you'll have to go through so many layers of admin stuff and paperwork that you're going to drown there, and it's way better to use the, again, between quotes, but the regular artist visa, which is made for this. So just use that.
Yeah, that's great information. And do all visas require you to speak some level of French now, even like the long stay visitor, the artist one? Do you need to pass any kind of test?
Well, the great news is that the answer is no. Well, obviously, you may want to speak a bit of French just to, be able to café s'il vous plaît or things like that. You want to survive to that jungle. But no, legally speaking, there is no mandatory requirement. Some residence permit, because you might see that or not, some residence permits do come with a language test, but like all the options we've mentioned would not. So the visa never comes with a language test. And then only some multi-years permit may come with a language test. But all the options we've mentioned, they do not, whatever at the visa stage or the residency stage. So for now, I mean, again, we're also in an ever-evolving industry, but for now, it's all okay. You don't legally need that unless you want to practice French, which I would advise you do, though.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question. What's something you wish more people knew about moving to France? I think a lot of people arrive and they're a little surprised, or it's not what they expect. Like, what's some advice for people who want to move here? What's some things that may surprise them?
A good question. There's one that comes to my mind. People, France is France, and the French are French, so obviously, well, if you're not French or coming from a different culture, you're gonna have some sort of a cultural shock. I mean, I'm sure you did, Crystal, as well. So everyone's different, and it depends on where you're coming from. But for example, there's a lot of things that are being said about the French. For example, well, I know one of those cliches that the French are rude. One of those reasons, I think, it's obviously my personal opinion, but I think we may come across as rude because the French would love to correct you whenever you're wrong. And I'm talking about whenever you try to speak French and make some sort of mistake. And it's actually a joke I like to make as well. Well, it's a cultural thing. We're not being rude here. We're actually trying to improve. I mean, usually we won't do that. It is rude if I don't know you and I correct you straight away. But very, very quickly, even if we've just seen once or twice, I may correct you. And because it's cultural, I mean, I like to say I'm in my 40s. My grandma still corrects my French. So it is. So even between adults, we do that. So that's something, don't get offended. It's literally a cultural thing. Okay. It's not against you. It's actually to help you improve. Usually, I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe, but it's like in any country. Maybe there are some people who might try to be offensive, but usually they're not. So that's one of the top cultural tip. Also, another one to remain to stay on the fun side is the les faux amis, the false friends, which we've talked about this, Crystal, last time. Some words you used to be saying in English a lot may have a complete different meaning in French. So my favorite by far is excited. It's very, very common in English to say you're excited, I'm exciting. And it does translate perfectly well in French. Je suis excité, c'est excitant. But for those who speak a bit of French, you'll understand. But there's almost no occasion. I mean, there's a few, but it's very, very risky to use those words. Very often, what I've just said will come across sexual. Like it sounds, I'm aroused.
Yeah, I think a lot of French people have a little giggle about that when we're speaking that in English or in French. And what you said about correcting our French, I mean, definitely I used to always feel like, wow, I just can't speak at all. Everything I say is wrong. They correct everything. And then somebody told me once it's like the equivalent of them telling you have like spinach in your teeth or food in your teeth. They're just trying to be polite and let you know like you're embarrassing yourself. So like fix it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes a little more sense. They're trying to help me and not just like make me feel bad.
But also, just so because I mean, a lot of people say that we've sexualized a lot of word in French. Well, maybe we did, but just so you don't feel bad, I did find one counterexample, which I just found out recently, which is the word, well, it's very difficult to pronounce for me, promiscuity.
Oh, promiscuous.
Oh, yes. Which, well, it's kind of intimate in English. And it is completely not in French. It's absolutely not physically or intimacy loaded in French. I just realized that. Like I could say that let's say, for example, there's a lot of people in a restaurant and, you're close to one another. I could say, je n'ai pas aimé ce restaurant. Il y avait trop de promiscuité. There was too much promiscuity in that restaurant. But that sounds weird, in English.
So in French, it would mean more so like, too many people, too much going on?
Yeah, meaning we were too close to one another. Yeah.
Yeah, too crowded.
Too crowded. Yes.
Oh, that's funny. So you've served on the boards of URSSAF and CPAM, two very scary words in France. And talk a little bit about what those boards are for and how you help people navigate that as well.
Yeah, that's actually part of the reasons that also got me to want to help people, because I've seen that, I mean, firsthand, but also again the backstage. So the URSSAF is well known to the French natives, but usually expats would not even know of its existence. It's basically those who collect social charges. So everyone that has worked in France, meaning like with a wage, or has been self-employed, has paid or encountered the URSSAF, and also are in charge of auditing companies or businesses to make sure you do pay the cotizations you due. So I was actually on two boards there. The board itself for the URSSAF Aquitaine, so for the region of Aquitaine, and also in the Basque country where I was there then. I've done that for 8 years. In the Basque country, in the litigation, some sort of a litigation service they had. So basically, I was helping entrepreneurs defend their file when there was an audit or something and they got accused of wrongdoings or whatever. So that's one thing. So I've seen things, how they manage money, or the rules and stuff. So I understand pretty deeply, how those guys operate. CPAM is French healthcare. So same, those are the guys who manage French healthcare. When you file a claim, well, often is automatic, but you file that to CPAM in France, which again, often is automatic. You don't realize that they're there, but they are. So same for CPAM. I was on the board there, in the Basque country, and also in the litigation service, one litigation service for entrepreneurs as well. So it helps me understand how those guys also operate, if you like, on a deeper level, what they want to see, what they do not want to see. Because France also is all about those things, unwritten rules and, things that are okay, but, not really, they don't really say so, or things that are definitely not okay, but also it's not really clear. Like, for example, business expenditures. It's not crystal clear what you can deduct or not, or offset or not, and the limits for some things. Like, can I go in a 5-star hotel or a 3-star hotel? Or, what's the limit there? No one will tell. So,
Yeah. Everything's like a gray area, we would say in English. It can be confusing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, well, all those experiences, again, obviously politics, URSSAF, CPAM, they've helped me really want to demystify, because most of the time I don't go as in-depth as we're doing right now. My goal is to try to make it easy, actually, try to sound simple. The number of times when I'm speaking to people and they're like, oh, it sounds so simple when you say it. Well, at first, yes, we do that literally on a daily basis. We probably do that multiple visas a day. And secondly, once you understand the system, well, there are some tricky cases, don't get me wrong, but most of the time it's actually easier than it seems. But there's a lot of confusing, conflicting, and sometimes even scary information out there. So my job is to demystify, de-scarify, or I don't know how to say it, but yeah, and make it look more easy, less daunting, because it's supposed to be a dream and hopefully will be.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of people are like you said, dreaming of moving here. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is a nightmare. What do we do? So it's just having the information and a professional to help you is the most important thing. And can you share a memorable story about a client from the creative sector, someone you helped relocate to France? Like, what were some of the challenges they faced and how did they overcome?
Oh, yeah, I have just the right one in mind. One guy wanted his to be a professional cook, but was also a professional artist. So he could justify he was a professional painter. So we've pulled this thread, and he wanted to change, like have a change of career. So it's both easy and challenging, because it's easy because when you're an artist, and he was like an established artist, so that was easy for him to do that. But being a cook is basically a change of path. So that would have been two different visas. So it was difficult for him to understand that. And long story short, he made it. He's now in Paris. He's living his best life. And he's been for 2 years now. But those are the things where everything's doable. You can change you can change your type of visa. You can always, well, not always, but pretty much all the time, you have options, and there's almost always a way. But it's all about planning and anticipation. So the more honest you are, the more we can advise, the more I can help. And like I was saying, my knowledge, as much as possible, is for free. The only time I charge for my service is when, because unfortunately, as you can imagine, as it's for free, it's quite high on demand. So I do offer VIP consultations, but it's only to fast track, if you're in a hurry. But you do have all the time access to me for free. And that's very important. I always answer everything for free to help people out. And whatever, on social media or email or through consultations one-on-one. So artists usually have it much easier than they think. And he was surprised it was actually so easy. Actually, the only not easy part for him was to find a rental in Paris. And I'm sure, Crystal, you've experienced this. I mean, it's probably the hardest part. It's not the visa, it's finding an accommodation, isn't it?
Definitely. We all suffer. Locals and foreigners are like trying to find an apartment in Paris.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So well, for those of you listening potentially and may go to different places, there are some busier and less busy places, but usually like Bordeaux, Lyon, Nice, Paris, all those big French cities, they're quite busy. And usually the challenging bit is not the visa, although it looks the most daunting, but it's very, very often the accommodation. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so nice, like you said, someone who can help you, lead you through all this. And what are some of the other services that Fab offers, like relocation, like you said, visas? Is there anything else that you can help people with?
Yeah. Also, just to clarify, we like a network, okay? Something I love to say. I personally have nothing to sell, which hopefully makes me unbiased, because my job is really, 24/7. Well, I do need to sleep, but let's say 24/7. My job is to help people out for free, or again, do most of my consultations. That's all I do, consultations and being on social medias, and that's it. That's my job. But so then obviously we put things together. We do a roadmap so that they speak with the right people, the right person who can help them. And that's why I don't care if they want to negotiate or whatever, because that's not me charging. I do not have an interest on that. But we do help on pretty much all across the board, one-stop shop, because, well, we deal with vehicles, vehicle import, purchase and delivery. We deal with healthcare application, residency permits. We deal with a lot of stuff. Another joke I like to make is, well, we can even fly dogs on private charter jets from the US. We've done that only twice, but just to say to what extent we can go. We have VIP concierge to help you through all the French admin, setting up utility bills, all of that, So the list goes on and on. There's no limit, really. Obviously, the most popular things, the things we do the most, are visas and insurance, because they're pretty much everyone requires that. But yeah, it's quite extensive. Or
you can do it all, like you said, one-stop shop.
Hopefully, yes.
So guys, if you're listening and you're dreaming of moving to France, you know where to look. And talk a little bit about where people can connect with you. You do a lot of videos, a lot of information on YouTube, on social media, on your website. Tell people more where they can connect with you.
So very easy, FabExpat.com, and everything is in there. You can book a consultation with me through there, or send me a message. Obviously, there's also, or send me an email on hello@fabexpat.com. And like you were saying, on quite a lot of social medias, social networks, YouTube, FabExpat, Instagram and TikTok, FabExpat with an S, because I don't know who, but someone took FabExpat already. And even on X, but I think we'll go to Thread instead fairly quickly.
Wonderful. Well, we will share all of that in the show notes. And thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Oh, thank you, Crystal, for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.